when it's all said and done, I think that's going to be your legacy.
I hope so.
Missouri musicians, then and now.
Robert Wilson is here. I can't believe we're doing this. I'm really excited. I've been looking forward to it for a long time.
Hi, Jordan. I'm smiling already, just for the little bit we've been rehashing just before we started this.
You know, it's going to be like 4 hours long. I'm going to have to come back.
We'll take a dinner break, maybe a nap.
Do you have like a futon or something?
I do.
Well, hey, we're going to talk about the then.
The then.
The then. So how did you get involved in music at all? Like as a kid, did you play guitar? Like how did you learn and how did you get involved in all of this?
Metallica.
Really?
Yeah. I remember the first Harvester of Sorrow was the first thing I ever learned on a guitar. Just that intro little riff. So I think it was 1991 or 2, maybe early 90s. I guess 90 because I think it would have been my freshman year. But got a little guitar. I think my mom bought it from me from a truck stop. I believe she was an over-the-road trucker, and I believe she bought the guitar for me from a truck stop. I may be wrong about that. She may have bought it from an individual out in her travels. But a small, like little Mexican classical guitar.
Cool.
And so I learned for the next year. That's all I learned was Metallica riffs. I wouldn't touch any other band. I didn't care about any other band. It was all Metallica. And I don't play any Metallica at all. But that's what started it for me. And there was some other kids in the school I went to at the time that played music that we'd get together and just, show each other. We never played like together, but we'd show each other the riffs and stuff that we'd learned, and that's where it all began.
So they were your biggest influence.
They were definitely my biggest influence. That got me into music. Now, since then, the influences range out just infinitely to a ridiculous amount. And I would honestly now, like the music that I write and play, Metallica is not even a current influence of what I do. But they are what got it started for sure.
That's cool. I always knew you were a really big fan of them. And Slayer, too.
Slayer. Acoustic Slayer. I will still play. There's always the guy that yells out Freebird, and there's always the guy that yells out Slayer.
There is.
And I will play both back to back if people are not careful.
That's awesome. We met via Myspace, but there was already things in motion before that.
Sure.
So let's go back to, I guess, the only thing that I know that was before 3-inch Girth was Common Hate. Was there anything before Common Hate?
That was my first official band that gigged. That was my first official gig with a band was Common Hate.
Okay.
At Pickled Pete's, if you remember that in Osage Beach.
Yeah.
And I forget what it didn't pay much, but we all got together and there was I believe we were a 5-piece band at that time. And it was Common Hate. We actually, for that gig, we had the name Mud Shovel. But then right after that, Stained released their song Mud Shovel off their first CD, and we didn't want people to think that we were going after that. So we changed the name to Common Hate.
So you were concerned about Mud Shovel, but then years later, 3-inch Girth became a thing.
Yeah, I've never had good decision making when it comes to public response.
We'll get to that. So how old were you in Common Hate? Because I saw a picture of you playing and you looked really young.
I'm honestly not sure that I was old enough to drink.
Really?
I think that we were allowed to play in the bars, but I don't think that I was able to drink. Because I remember not drinking, and back then was a time in my life that I'd like to drink. Mm-hmm. But so the only reason that would have happened I must have been too young.
Wow.
So we're talking a long time ago.
So how long were you guys together?
We played several years, and I still play with the guys from Common Hate from time to time. We kind of get together and just jam. Some of the members kind of in and out, but probably a few years. Played quite a few shows. It was a good time.
You want to drop the names of the guys that were in there?
The ones that I still play with from time to time: Justin Smith and Delbert Rowden.
Oh.
Adam Kennedy played with us back then. We still jam with him from time to time.
Uh-huh.
Mark Steiner was the singer of that band. He's the singer of a lake band called Relentless now. And they're doing some pretty big shows, but he still gets together and plays with those guys from time to time. So we're still all around the area, still all in and out.
That's cool. I've heard all those names before, so that makes sense. I'm putting the pieces together
Sure.
here. So that's really helpful.
I'm glad I remember the names now that you put me on the spot like that. I was like, hope I
Yeah.
remember these people's names.
Hey, you're welcome.
Friends get offended when you're like that guy.
So how did 3-inch Girth become a thing?
After Common Hate, I played with a band called Wormhole
Oh, that's right.
for a few years with that band as well. And I was wanting to kind of take a break. We were all kind of heading different directions in life, as so happens. And so I really focused on just acoustic stuff. I wanted to record my own stuff. So I went to this guy's place we called G-Dog. And G-Dog pointed you out to me on Myspace and said, there's this guy in Eldon who plays music. You should hit him up. And so we messaged each other on Myspace and realized we had a common interest in Alice in Chains as being an influence of ours. And I don't think much time went by before we got together. And immediately we're like, well, what Chain songs do you know? And we like played all the Chain songs pretty much that they'd released at that time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And for never having done it before, I think we did the harmonies really well. And that like immediately solidified a musical bond between us. Mm-hmm. And then we became a local Alice in Chains tribute duo. Mm-hmm. That's that's kind of what we were known as.
So 3-inch Girth, like that wasn't like an entity. It was just you doing your stuff under that name, or did you have other people involved at some point?
It was just me.
Huh.
And the name was just a joke, something my brother had come up with regarding certain
not
thicknesses
surprising.
and cans of corn or something. I forget the whole story behind it. Wow. And I don't know why we decided to make that stick, but it did.
You know, I thought long and hard about messaging you before I did. I'm like, 3-inch Girth? What is this?
Is this real?
I'm like, do I really want to be associated with this? And then it's like, well, it's in Eldon, and
Well, that's strike 2 against it right there.
I know, right? Well, G-Dog.
G-Dog.
Have I ever met G-Dog? I should probably thank him because it was a good thing.
I don't know that you ever did. I went out to his place in Richland, Missouri. I forget what night of the week it was, but I went there almost every week for an entire year, just recording originals. He was learning. He'd gotten some expensive recording equipment and had a lot of toys, and he was learning how to use them, and I was kind of like his guinea pig.
Okay.
Because I was just kind of learning how to do all my own songs and just starting to sing my own stuff. I'd never been the singer in any of the bands I'd been in up to that point. So we kind of learned together, how to make music. And looking back, the stuff was terrible.
Everybody says that, though.
I thought it was great at the time. I was like, I am on my way. And then I played it back at some time later, and I was like, that was really bad.
Wow. I never knew that about somebody like pointing me out to you like that. That's pretty
He
cool.
did. He'd found you on MySpace. I don't know if you and him were friends on MySpace.
I don't know.
I don't remember how MySpace really worked, other than you could have top friends.
Yeah.
You could actually like arrange your friends and like show them off in their order of importance in your life.
I miss it.
I know.
As strange as that is.
Let's go back. Let's go back to it.
So we found the common bond, as you said, and we ended up playing at Donna's Ice House at the open mic nights. That may be where we kind of cut our teeth. Is that correct?
That was our first show.
Okay. Yeah, and then we ended up getting paid gigs because we expanded the set list, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, we went there once and they had us up for our open spot. It was open mic night. And I think we played 3 or 4 songs, but they liked it. Mm-hmm. And they invited us back and said they would pay us if we'd come back and we could play a little longer.
We got a promotion.
We did, right out of the gates.
That place was rocking. It was full every night we played there. Not because of us.
It was a good music scene. Good little music spot. I'd like to think it was because of us.
I miss that. Like, I don't know. Everything was so new and we were sitting down. That was kind of strange.
Yeah, that's true.
I think James Clay hosted that, right?
He did. Because I remember one night our harmonies were not on for some reason, and he ran up like right after the second song or something, like pulled our plug pretty much because he was in charge of making sure the quality of the open mic night was good for everyone. So one night, for whatever reason, we weren't hearing things right, and our harmonies were a little off.
That never happened.
We got hooked off of the stage.
That would not be the last time.
No.
We'll probably get to that later, too. How do you summarize the 3-inch Girth experience? Because we transitioned into something else.
We did. As 3-inch Girth, though, we played well over 100 shows.
Mm-hmm.
I remember after Donna's Ice House, the construction site.
Yeah.
I went and talked to them, and I booked us for a show, and I was happy. I charged them $75 for me and you to split. And I was so happy that I got us that. I was like, hey, we got a pay-in gig. $37.50 a piece and probably some draft beers or something.
Mm-hmm.
That is when we knew we had made it. We were at the top.
That was kind of a home away from home there for a while.
We played there a lot.
Sometimes it was to an empty bar, but
that happers. Paid practice, we call it.
Yeah. We still played and we gave it everything we had. And I like to think of the 3-inch Girth era, I guess you could say, as the funny hat era.
Sure.
Do you want to elaborate on that?
With the name, and I don't know what started the hats, but we went and actually bought all these different types of hats, and we were known as, some places actually didn't hire us because they thought we were trying to be more of a comedy act than a musical act, because we always joke around between songs, and we'd have these same little puns we'd use with the song titles and everything that we thought was funny every time we said it.
Yeah.
But yeah, hats. You had the big green one. The green beret hat was your go-to, and I had the spiky hat that had the part that ran down my back with the spikes on it.
I remember that.
So the hats
and the high kicking.
Definitely the high kicks, which I would never try that anymore. We had merch. We had 3-inch Girth t-shirts made. We had 3-inch Girth bumper stickers that we would give away as long as they had to go right then on the spot and put it on their vehicle.
That's
and we would
right.
take a picture of it.
I don't remember the shirts, though.
Relative of yours, Madison, went and had them made.
Oh. Thank you, Madison. I'm
yeah,
sure
they
you'll
were
be
great.
listening.
I think I still have one of them around, but they turned out, I don't think we sold. I think it's pretty much just for like us. We made them for ourselves so we could rock our own merch.
Oh my gosh.
But the bumper stickers, I remember another plateau. I remember family members of yours as well, but they put our bumper sticker on a pretty new Hummer. I remember thinking that's a pretty good vehicle for our name to be seen driving around in.
Yeah.
So 3-inch Girth, to go with the name, some places we played, we tried to make Girth Juice and have a shot special for the night.
Yes.
What horrible marketing team was that? They're like, no, you need to like make it, and we're like, and they're like, what? Well, you just use your imagination. Maybe it should be like green. And it usually came out green. I don't know why Girth Juice is green.
I love it.
But yeah, so a couple places we played would come up with a shot special for the night called Girth Juice because 3-inch Girth was playing.
Didn't that make it on like a chalkboard menu a few different times?
It did. It did. Girth Juice.
Oh, I love it. That's so great. We had a lot of fun in that era, and like the music was quality though. We weren't screwing off. We took the music seriously.
Very.
And we're both naturally funny, lighthearted people, and the chemistry was fully developed at that point.
Sure.
So we just ran with it and had a good time. But then we kind of hit the wall, and the Girth magic ran out, so we had to make a change, right?
I don't know that the magic ran out. There was a couple places that were offended by the name.
Yeah.
They thought it wasn't what they wanted. And so we made a change to Weathered Souls to book more gigs, I guess. Hungry for more gigs from other locations. Started selling out right from the beginning. We should have just stuck to our guns. Stuck to our girthy guns.
Well, it was, I mentioned that, like, the magic ran out in the way of we became more serious.
Sure.
We got rid of the hats. We got rid of the funny name. We still had some good puns in between songs.
Sure, a little banter.
Yeah, and we had Was Weathered Souls like? I think Adam Kennedy, the drummer, I think he had been back at the tail end of 3 Inch Girth. Is that right? Because he was kind of in and out a couple times.
I think that's right.
So he was with us through the transition
Sure.
to Weathered Souls. Okay. So it was kind of like a refocused version of 3 Inch Girth.
Sure, trying to be taken more seriously.
Yeah.
We took our music seriously. We wanted people to take us as seriously as we took our music.
Right. Yeah. So do you think things improved as Weathered Souls in that regard?
I don't know, because I don't really think that we played any more places. I know one place that a festival we were going to play at, Peachtree, actually booked us, and I tried to rebook us there as Weathered Souls, and they're like, we only want you if you're still 3 Inch Girth.
Wow.
So people like the Girth. Most places didn't care about the name. They thought it was funny. But so yeah, I don't really think it improved anything. I think we still probably kept things the same.
I don't think we ever played at one of the venues that didn't have us as 3 Inch Girth. We changed the name and we still didn't make it there.
Right.
So that's kind of ironic.
Throw us the Common Hate band we were talking about. I had to change that name for a gig as well. It was
Really?
a big family event down at down at the amphitheater in Camden, and there was something there, and they booked us as the Common Hat band.
Oh no.
Because they didn't want hate for their family event. So then we transitioned to a band that wears hats. It's like it's all interlinked somehow. I don't know.
We should have changed the name to that.
To Common Hat?
Yeah.
It would have made more sense with what we were doing.
Oh my gosh. By the way, I have tons of pictures.
Good.
I will find an avenue to post those because people are like, funny hats. Like, what is this all about? They're trying to picture this, I'm sure.
It's part of our identity.
Yeah. I'll get them out to you.
Now, there was one other thing with the Girth. You remember the curse of the Girth?
Oh, man, I was going to bring that up.
Well, I didn't mean to interrupt to jump ahead. If you'd like to cover it later, that's fine.
Okay, so there was a pattern that had developed.
Coincidentally.
We would go play somewhere, and then after X amount of time, they went out of business.
We kept an ongoing list for a while. Call it the curse of the Girth, and we've never obviously put that in in our promoting of anything.
No.
But the list was pretty impressive of the number of places that we played, which is a good sign because we did play in a lot of places.
True.
But we did joke around that it was because of our being there that they had to shut the doors. And I'll have you know that I have kept that tradition going.
Oh no.
Till now. I'm still shutting them down.
If I remember right, I think that list was approaching 10.
Yeah, if not more. But yeah, 10 different places that we'd played at in like that first year that it shut the doors over many different cities.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Curse of the Girth. Homeless bar owners.
Oh, man, I can't get over that.
It was coincidental. It had to be. Tell me it was coincidental.
I hope.
It was.
That's a wild coincidence.
I'm going to keep telling
it?
myself, and the fact that it's continued. So I don't think it was you, it was me. I single-handedly am driving bars out of business with my music.
Well, it's not because you're a bad guy. That's for sure. What is Weathered Souls now? Like, you got a lot of stuff going on now. So is Weathered Souls still a thing?
Weathered Souls still exist. It's still Delbert Rowden and Matt Hill and myself. We're a 3-piece. Mostly heavy original stuff, and then like Alice in Chains and Stone Temple Pilots and kind of that genre of stuff. But we play very rarely. Like, we'll get together and play at my annual bash, so we'll discuss a little later, I'm sure. But other than that, we're not really that marketable because of the heaviness of the music, and especially in this area. So we'll probably play 2 gigs a year.
Oh, wow.
So It's just that we do for fun, just because we all like the heavy music. I call it my midlife crisis band, where I'm still clinging on to my youth. But we just get together and have a good time. Turn everything up loud, a lot of distortion, make a lot of noise.
Midlife crisis?
Sure.
You'd have to go back in time for it to be your midlife.
My 2/3 life crisis.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Missouri Musicians Then and Now podcast. like us on Facebook, and check out our YouTube channel where you can find clips and full-length previous episodes. So Weathered Souls is still chugging along.
Still exists.
What else do you got going on? Because Weathered Souls was my last stop on the Robert Wilson train. If I can beat
Solo
this
shows
analogy.
is mainly what keeps my schedule going for the most part. I play just about every weekend.
The Acoustic Mayhem of Robert Wilson.
Acoustic Mayhem of Rob Wilson. Once again, naming myself things that just probably don't belong. But I like that. I've stuck with that one for a while.
Yeah, Mayhem is a good word.
I've played a lot of shows. I'm booked every Friday and Saturday right now, along with some Sundays and Thursdays, all the way through September as of now.
Congrats.
Thank you. And then in addition to that, I play with a guy in Columbia named Randy Jones, who's just a phenomenal guitar player. And I'm not going to tell him about this podcast because I don't want him to hear me say that about him.
Do you guys have a name?
We play under R&R, which is Rob and Randy,
Mm-hmm.
or rock and roll, or rest and relaxation, or whatever you want to call it. But R&R as a duo, and we probably play about once a month out.
Cool.
The week gig. So busy, lots of stuff, lots of new music, lots of recording music. So music's always been a huge thing for me. So I gotta stay busy with it.
I appreciate you spending the time today.
This is music related. I'm excited for this conversation.
You know, in a previous conversation, I dropped your name and I said something along the lines of there's nobody who has the passion for music like you. Like, there's nobody that I know who just needs it like you do. You immerse yourself in it all the time.
I heard that in your interview when you were being interviewed.
Yeah.
By Tara, and I appreciated that a lot.
I meant it.
I don't consciously do it that way, but I do realize that it's almost to a fault because I do feel like I need it. It's when I know that I'm happy is when I'm doing something with music, either creating something or playing in front of, hopefully a crowd. Hopefully there's some people there, even if there's one person. But it is what I like to do. More so, I think it's more who I am than what I like to do. I don't think I could ever not do it.
Well said. I agree. It's somewhat intimidating to an extent. Like, you feel guilty because you're not as dedicated or as into it as you know?
That's why I think it's to a fault, because I think it's led to the demise of most of my musical relationships because of how seriously that I take it. I don't want it to just be a good time. I want it to be serious and to aggressively look for gigs because I love playing out. I love the stage and performing in front of people. And I want people to be as serious about it as I am. So I think it is to a fault. There should be some happy medium in there that I've never been able to find.
It's almost like people are so serious about it and it's just not fun anymore. And they burn out, or
Sure.
other people burn out, or it turns into a job. Thankfully, you haven't experienced that. Have you ever felt that way throughout the years?
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There are, especially when you end up playing at places where there isn't a crowd or where there are people there. Recently, I had someone ask me if I could stop because they wanted to watch the hockey game.
Ooh.
And it's the blues, man. It's that time of year. But, those moments, you kind of question, you're like, why? I love that I'm doing this, but if no one else loves that I'm doing this, then am I fooling myself with how serious I should be taking this? Maybe I need a reality check and back up a little bit and kind of put things in perspective of this isn't as important to other people as it is to me. But then I'm like, nah, nah, that guy's drunk.
Man, that stings.
So there are moments like that. And when you play in, a town like this where you are background noise to a lot of people, you have the line of people up at the bar that are all engaged in their conversations, and they may take a moment to, clap a little bit after a song. They may not. So
Yay.
you wonder. Yeah. Yay.
I gotta quit with the inside jokes. People are gonna get mad. You used to say that after the song was over and nobody clapped.
I still do. I will cheer myself on. Yeah. Like I said, the happy medium I've never been able to find. 'Cause I think everyone should appreciate, because when I go listen to other people play music, I mean, I don't want people talking to me. I don't want people, pointing out the television. I mean, I am engrossed in what other people are doing. I'm watching what they're doing on guitar. The vocals, how they're working together, the harmonies. I'm appreciating what they're doing. I want that same respect from my audience, and it obviously doesn't always happen. All musicians know that the moments that we have really awesome shows are much less than the shows that are just shows that we
Yeah.
just play. But the few great moments, they make it all worth it.
I'm glad to hear you say that. It makes me feel good because I was looking inward a lot on my podcast, and it was uncomfortable because I literally, like, in real time, came to the conclusion that I was just losing interest. Like, I just wasn't as into it as you, and I didn't have that. I didn't have all those things in common with you anymore. Of, like, I love performing. I'm totally into what everybody else is doing, and it was hard. It was a hard pill to swallow.
Sure. Well, you also had other very important things going on in your life that needed priority. You had a new wife and a new child. Those things should be more important than music.
Right. It was just it was uncomfortable because I'm like, am I making excuses? I mean, these seem like pretty good explanations to why I could be feeling that way, but it's been a long time, and a lot of these conversations, it's hard for people to remember how they felt in that time and why they did what they did or whatever. So it feels good to hear you say that, there's those vulnerable moments.
Sure. You shared with me in what was probably my lowest musical moment. And I'm
Yeah.
not going to drop the name of the venue. But we were playing, and it was an outside gig. And we at that time in our musical careers, we did not have sufficient equipment for an outside gig. We were good for a small inside venue. We did not have the ability to put out enough sound to reach people down at their boat docks. And so we were trying to make things louder than our equipment would have allowed. And I would, looking back, the quality of what we're doing was probably not good sound-wise. However, a bar owner mid-song turned on the Muzak and turned it up and drowned us out while we were playing. That was a very low moment for me, musically. And thank you for keeping me out of prison that night. We were... the bar owner were having a discussion that was getting more heated, and I looked over and you raised your hand to comment and it lightened everything up, because I was like, oh wow, this is he's taking this the right way, and that it diffused the situation. So thank you for how you approached that.
You're welcome. That was a rough night.
It's probably my worst musical experience.
And the thing is, like, I've thought about that a lot over the years, and I've told that story a lot over the years, and I'm trying to learn to look inward a little bit more than when I was younger. When I was younger, it'd be like, oh, that guy was a dick.
Right.
But one of us broke a string.
Mm-hmm.
So that derailed the show.
Broke a string. I showed up half drunk.
And it was incredibly hot
It
outside.
was really hot. So my vocals were trashed to begin with. We didn't have the right equipment.
We were not at the top of our game.
The bar owner was actually probably right in doing what he did. I don't like the way he handled it.
Yeah.
But he has a responsibility to keep his customers there, buying drinks. And the quality of what we were putting out probably wasn't going to keep many customers there. So in hindsight, he wasn't a huge dick.
So that was a low musical moment, the lowest. Tell me about some of the highs.
Also, a few that we shared together. We played on a parade float.
Yes.
We won second place in that parade. I still have the ribbon here somewhere. But, and I don't know, I tell people that we played in front of 10,000 people. because I think I've looked up the numbers of that parade, and that's the number of people that have been there. I mean, obviously didn't count them; they weren't there for us, but we did. As we were driven behind we were on a trailer, utility trailer, 16-foot utility trailer that we'd built, framed walls in, and hung a disco ball, and had tinsel all over all of it. Ran a generator from the pickup truck pulling the trailer to cables back to us, and we actually played. We had my daughter's, some of her and her teenage friends were dancing on the end of the float, so we had female dancers, though they were small children. But it was an exciting moment. We once again, loud. We had to be over the sound of the generator. I remember going by some lady, and immediately she stuck her fingers, second knuckle deep into her ears. So she wasn't one of the 10,000 that enjoyed it. But good bragging rights. We played for 10,000 people. Another moment we did, we got to play for an elementary school assembly. Mm-hmm. That was pretty cool. We brought maracas and shakers, and for the kids that got to participate, I know we went to Pizza Hut and they gave us free personal pan pizza coupons that we got to hand out to the kids that participated. So that was pretty cool. I remember we did a generational set list where we said, this is a song that your grandpa would have listened to. This is a song that your parents would have listened to. And then we did, for something from their generation, and I hope I'm remembering this right, did we not do Hey Ya?
Yes.
By Outkast?
Uh-huh.
I think that was the year that came out. And I remember a small child, and I say small child, it was upper elementary, I think, maybe 5th, 6th grade, something like that, came up to me to let me know that we did that wrong. Oh, you played that song wrong. I'm like, well, it's two guys on acoustic guitars. It's probably not going to sound exactly like Outkast, but thank you for your constructive feedback. But those are both good highlights, good memories of fun gigs. Not everyone does that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But we got to do that. It was a good time.
I agree. I'll always remember the float because it was a parade. We were literally moving, and it was very difficult to keep the balance and stuff. I mean, kudos to you. Like that was 99% you. And it was a brilliant idea, executed well. No band was like, we're going to be in the parade.
To my knowledge, we're the only ones that have done it.
And that took a lot of work, and kudos to you.
Thank you for being a part of it.
It was
team effort.
A lot of fun.
It was fun. It's good memory.
And the assembly, not a lot of, I guess you'd say bar bands could play an upper elementary school assembly.
With the name 3-inch Girth.
Yeah. That was a concern for a minute, too.
That is when the explanation of the thickness of the guitar neck came into the equation. Because they're like, what's with this name? And I'm like, that's the thickness of the guitar neck.
Very good. The origin of the lie.
Right, the origin of a lie was born.
That's technically not the thickness of a guitar neck, correct?
At some point in time, I think I went and measured it just to see how big of a lie I was telling. And it's a pretty big lie.
Oh, man.
But not all guitars are the same. I'm sure one out there has a 3-inch Girth neck.
So those are some special moments.
For sure.
What else? It doesn't have to just be with me.
Okay.
I want to hear it. What's the top of the mountain for you?
Well, the other big moment is with, can I do another one that includes you?
Yeah.
Our 100th show was coming up.
Mm-hmm.
And we wanted to commemorate it in some way. We thought that was a huge landmarker, which it was. So we put on our first Girthapalooza Music Festival. And we had fire dancers, and we had a huge firework display, and we had food, and we had several different musical performers come from Arkansas and Branson and from here locally, and had a pretty good crowd, big bonfire, and put on a whole day music festival to commemorate our 100th show. Mm-hmm. And it was very cool. It went over really well. Had a guy come out with better equipment than we had, and ran sound for us for the whole thing. It was a great memory, and that tradition of that is carried on to this day.
Was that the top of the mountain for you?
I think so, because it started something for me that I'm passionate about, and that is putting on like small music festivals so people can come out and play their original music, because we live in an area where original music is not really that welcome in venues. They want you to play the standards, and I do a lot of that. So I like to create something where musicians can come out and play their original music, and all the people that are there for the purpose of listening to that original music. You're not background noise. This year coming up, I think, will be the 8th one. Wow. And there's been a lot of great musical moments of really great musicians playing their own music, and I love it.
That's an incredible achievement, and it's right here on your property.
It is just outside of Eldon.
You know, I gotta agree with you. Like, that's the top of the mountain for me. I'll always remember the entire day, but we played really late.
We did.
We played at like 1 or 2. Maybe it was 1. It was dark and it was freezing outside.
And the police came.
Yeah. Our last song was I'm Gonna Be by the Proclaimers. And the fireworks went off as we hit our last notes.
We had someone, I told him what our last song was going to be, and told him what the cue was in that song to light the fuse, so that it would be timed like that. Because I wanted us to, and I remember we walked up and we put our arms around each other, and I remember we said, that is how you put on a rock show, as the fireworks went off. It was a very cool moment.
It was incredible. I'll always remember that. Again, you know, kudos to you. It was an incredible time, and it took an insane amount of work and money and, you know, volunteers, and it lives on to this day.
You were a part of all of it.
And it was so much fun. So let's hear more about it. Is it going on again this year?
This year will be October 1st. As far as all the bands aren't completely ironed out yet, I'm still waiting on my headliner to get back hold of me. I reached out to a band that I heard in Arkansas. I went and played a show in Arkansas earlier this year and heard this band play, and they were just amazing. And I've reached out to them, and they're trying to iron out to see if it'll work. If not, I'll look for. I no longer want to be the headliner. I want to get a really good band that everyone can enjoy. So I'm still ironing out all the details, but I do know it's October 1st. Actually working on some sponsors this year. GSI Insulation is sponsoring this year, so they're going to help out with some of the costs of some stuff. And I've had another couple people volunteer some donations to help with the expense.
Great.
That's been a huge thing, because I've always just done it out of pocket, just because I love the experience and the music. And it's like, when I was younger, I threw parties every weekend. Now I just throw one big one a year. But so there'll be more details that come out. There is a Facebook page for Girthapalooza. The name, it's kind of like, I've thought about changing it, but there's too much history with it. So,
yeah.
3-inch Girth is no more, and the name's ridiculous. But Girthapalooza is what it will always be.
I'm glad to hear that.
A couple years ago, I actually built a permanent stage out of this place, and it's covered with Run Electric and everything. So if the rain moves in, all the equipment's safe. Before, we always built like a temporary stage, and then at the end of the thing, I would tear it down. And by the end of the thing, I'm in like 4 or 5 months later, when my wife got tired of all this rotting lumber being in the yard. So, but now there's a permanent covered stage, big enough for bands. We still try to get the fire performers and all that. So we try to put on a show.
Everybody needs to check it out.
I hope they do.
I've been a part of it. I've been an audience member. It's such a good time. And if you have any appreciation for music, but especially original music, you got to check it out.
You'll probably be a part of it again. You speak past tense, but I'm not so sure about that.
So I usually ask people about their goals. Like, what do they want out of music? You know, there's a lot of people who enjoy playing it, they enjoy writing it, they enjoy performing, things of that nature. Some people want to get famous. They want to get signed. What was it for you back then when you were learning Metallica, and what is it now?
Famous has never, or becoming famous, has never been remotely a goal. Probably because I never thought it would be attainable, I guess. I never considered myself good enough to even tease myself with those ideas. So it's always just been, for one, doing it because I enjoy it. Even if I'm just playing and I'm the only one listening, I love music enough that I can just listen to myself play, and I'm okay with that. But you get those moments where you'll see just one other person who you can visually see that they're into what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And that is just the feeling you get from that is amazing, that you are connecting with someone else with the music that you are performing. And I'm okay if I can just have that from time to time for the rest of my life, just the feeling that that provides. Long-term goals, I mean, I would like to provide for myself only with music. Realistically, music doesn't provide health insurance and stuff like that. So I'm kind of at a crossroads with that in life as far as what I realistically want to attain and what I should do as an adult
Mm-hmm.
versus what I want to do still as this teenager inside me that still wants to rock. But the music festival thing I really want to put on, eventually get some land and make this thing grow to where I actually have headlining bands, like nationally touring headlining bands and multiple day festivals. I want it to grow into that. And eventually I will make it do so.
There's no doubt in my mind.
I'm very stubborn with it. I will mortgage everything I own to financially make it happen. But that is the long-term goal. And until that happens, I'm very happy with the small one-day festival here. We have a lot of fun, but I would like to grow that at some point in time in the future into something much larger.
That's so exciting to think about that.
I'm passionate about it. I want it to happen.
You know, when it's all said and done, I think that's going to be your legacy.
I hope so.
If I can throw out a serious word like that.
I hope so. And not the other side of that would be his legacy was, well, there he is in the alley all by himself because he ran everybody off because of how committed he was to this music and absolutely nothing else. So that's the other side of that coin. That's a possibility. But we'll see. See how it ends. One other thing I want to throw out there that we did together.
Yeah.
That I really, it was a highlight for me, is we recorded our own all original CD.
Yeah.
And that was like I'd recorded some CDs with previously that were songs that I had not completely written myself. I'd had like a part in, but the one that me and you put together were things that just we had written.
Mm-hmm.
And I forget, there's like 10 songs or something on there like that, I think.
I still have it.
I still have like a box of them.
Oh no.
So, right. But that, and we recorded it ourselves, and once again at the time we thought the quality was great. And now Bob Ice played it on the Homegrown show. And I played it again later, and I was like, I cannot believe that went out on the radio.
Oh no.
The songs are great. The
Absolutely.
recording quality, in hindsight's not the best, but it was great for us at the time of where we were at in our musical journey. That was a great memory. I love original music, and the stuff we wrote together was, I still think, great songs.
I agree.
A big part of the music scene here is all covers.
Mm-hmm.
And people will request and request and request stuff. And I try to play everything people request. Even if I don't know it, I'll try to at least get through a verse and a chorus. But every once in a while, someone will be like, well, play what your favorite song is.
Really?
And then I will always play an original at that moment.
Wow.
So when I play all the bar gigs around the lake, that's usually the only time I play originals. But every once in a while, someone will give me that opening where I'm like, well, technically you asked for it, and I'm providing the service to you, the paying customer, so now I have to play it.
That's awesome.
So, and then they all leave. Not really.
So you kind of tread that line between your original stuff and playing the covers. Like, I think with all the projects that you have going on, I think you scratch all those itches.
I do. Kind of
Thank goodness.
different irons in the fire, and all of them serve a different purpose. I mean, the covers pay the musical bills. It's a hobby that, as of now, supports itself. I mean, I buy all my equipment from gig money. The annual festival I do is from gig money that I save through the year. So, and covers aren't my favorite, but I still have a fun time. There's still people that get up and dance, and people that are appreciative that they're hearing the songs that they like. And so I still enjoy it. But, and then the small festivals, like we just did a 4 Strong Winds out in Versailles a couple weekends ago, and a 2-hour set. And I played 2 cover songs, and that's in the 2 hours. I played all the rest of the originals. So there's still these moments where I do get to go play my originals for an audience that's there to hear it. So there's a balance of it all that keeps me happy.
That was something that we were very hard-headed about. We played what we wanted to play, and that was it.
We did.
Like you said, though, if somebody would request something, we'd usually give it a try. But in one of the other podcasts, I used the George Jones example from the Depot in Versailles.
Right.
You guys know any George Jones? No, we don't, and we
Sadly,
will not.
Sadly, now I do.
Oh,
Sorry, man.
I'm disappointed.
You're unplugging me now, aren't you? You're like, oh, this interview's over.
It's an interesting topic as a musician, though. Like, I like talking to everybody about it. Where I want to find out where their line is of like, do you play what you want to play? Or do you play the Jimmy Buffett? Like, where do you draw the line?
I at one time had a hard line drawn that would not be crossed.
Yeah.
Do you remember what song that was? I put you on the spot, I know.
Give me a hint.
I would not play Mustang Sally.
Oh, okay.
Now I cannot count the times that I've played Mustang Sally.
No. That's it.
But you know what?
I'm leaving.
You play it well. The girls get up and dance to it. They all sing Ride Sally Ride. It's fun.
Yeah.
I hate the song.
But
I can have fun playing it.
You're just smiling through your teeth.
Comes on the radio. I mean, it's switched off immediately. But I'll play anything that gets a response from the crowd. I crave it.
You're at a good place then.
I guess.
You're not as hard-headed as we used to be with that.
I've sold out completely. Completely.
Well, you're extremely successful and you're always busy, so you're obviously doing something right. Robert, why don't you run the social media stuff? Let's hear it.
All Facebook. Looking into a website, because I do think that Facebook's not as useful as we think it is. So I'm looking at actually creating a website for all my music stuff. But as of right now, it's the Acoustic Mayhem of Rob Wilson. And then I highly recommend everybody jump on the Girthapalooza Facebook page just so you can keep track of what's coming up October 1st.
All right. And what kind of gigs do you have coming up?
All right. We have every Wednesday in June, I host karaoke at Snafu. It's another thing I said that I would never do. But, we play gigs and people jump up and they're like, can I sing a song with you? And we're always like, no.
Yeah.
So this is their opportunity. But no, you can come out Wednesday night to Snafu. We have karaoke. I play at JJ Twigs. I play there usually the first Friday of every month down there on Business 54. The 25th is Adam Pukta in Herman. And then July we have JJ Twigs on the 1st. 15th I play at Pittsburgh Pub. The 16th R&R. Is Adam Pukta. The 23rd is Adam Pukta again, a solo show. The 29th is the 1837 Bar in Herman, solo show. And then I play at the Sweetwater Distillery in Monroe City on the 30th of July.
Excellent. Everybody do me a favor. If you go and you heard it on the podcast, I want you to tell Robert that you heard it on the podcast. That really helped me out.
If you come out and you came out because you heard it on the podcast, I will buy you a drink.
Oh, there you go.
I'm not opposed to bribery to get people out to a show. It's fine.
Well, Robert, it's been a lot of fun. Thanks for having me out. I'm going to turn this off so we can probably jam a little bit.
We're going to for sure. It's been great. The trip down memory lane.
Absolutely.
Thank you. They're great memories, and we're gonna make more. The tale is not done.
All right. Robert Wilson, everybody. Take care.
Maybe time to say goodbye. my leg.